What does the S stand for? That's, not an S. Where I come from, that stands for disappointment.
Goodbye, my son. Our hopes and dreams travel with you.
He'll be an outcast. I'll kill him.
How? He'll be a god to them.
Man of Steel. Man of Steel stars Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Russell Crowe, Michael Shannon, and explosion. The film is directed by Zack Snyder, whose earlier works include 300, The Watchmen, and Sucker Punch, and Man of Steel is a reboot to the Superman franchise, which hasn't had the best luck in the past few installments, but the Man of Steel trailers provided fans with some hope. The reason my review is up later than it was supposed to be was because after I saw the film, I just had no thoughts about it. It left absolutely no impact on me whatsoever. Now I must admit, I can't remember the older Superman films. I saw them years ago, but I remember Superman Returns as this fun grade B action film that felt like X-Men because it was made by Bryan Singer, the director of the first few X-Men films. But this movie was trying so hard to be different and it just didn't work out. The film was pretty bad, actually. I know I show glimpses of the trailer in my review and it's technically not fair because it's so different from what the film actually is.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if a child aspired to something greater?
Exactly, where was any of that emotion in the film? You want to know where? Nowhere. But before I move on, I'd just like to say something. I'm not someone who hates these kind of movies just for the sake of it. I actually love the Dark Knight trilogy, and Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors. I just find it hard to believe that he had a whole lot to do with actually making this movie. Now, I'm not denying that the film has its positives. The best thing about the film is Hans Zimmer's score. It, at times, is in cohesion with what's going on and heightens the scale, but it almost adds weight to the film. Apart from that, there are some moments in the film that were interesting and looked like they were actually building up to something, but by the end of it, that's how most of the film felt. Like it was building up to something that by the end of it had absolutely no relevant consequence whatsoever.
My son was in the bus. He saw what Clark did.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son.
I also thought that the acting in the film was pretty good. Henry Cavill as Clark Kent and Superman, I actually kind of liked him a lot. I thought he did a great job, and there's a lot of him in the film. They do exhibit his character a lot as well, and some of the emotional moments do work, but most of them kind of feel a little bit forced. Russell Crowe doesn't have all that much to do in the film after the first 20 minutes, but he wasn't that bad, and Michael Shannon was pretty menacing till before the final showdown. Amy Adams, unfortunately, was not used correctly. Her character was not written that well, and her romance with Superman felt like the writers just shoehorned it in for absolutely no reason.
And I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason. And even if it takes the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is.
How do you find someone who has spent a lifetime covering his tracks? For some, he was a guardian angel. For others, a ghost who never quite fit in.
I think the film's kryptonite is director Zack Snyder. Yeah, he loves to add a visual touch to everything, but almost every shot has this artificial look to it. It looks so fake and nothing really feels that real. Whether Superman's out in the open or just in his house, they've digitally lit the scene and you can really tell. I think that certainly drew me out of the movie. Even on Krypton, it looked really bad. There are some shots in the film where the camera is looking at something and it just zooms onto it and then zooms back in, and it just doesn't look that great. And don't get me started on the last hour of the film. Oh my god, it's just one action scene after the next, and it's bloated with effects that you can't even tell what's happening on screen. So much of it felt like a video game, and I wasn't invested in any of the characters, so the stakes for me were set pretty damn low. Okay, so the last hour was paced like this. Okay, there's an explosion, jump, explosion, flying shit. I don't give a shit. And oh my god, what's going on?
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
Another major issue was the story. There are a lot of things not explained throughout the course of the film, and they just happen, and after a while you stop caring. I never felt invested in any of the characters, including Superman, and when your protagonist doesn't warrant your interest, it's a massive negative to the film. Sure, his origin story and him as a child was okay, everything else he does felt out of character. I just never got the feeling that he really saved the day. And again, Henry Cavill was good, the material just wasn't. The dialogue wasn't awfully great, and though the interaction between Clark and his parents was pretty good, I guess the dialogue scenes were not that interesting. The story just doesn't have a good flow. It feels like a series of random events put together, which is both due to writing and editing. The editing between shots and scenes, especially in the first hour of the film, is extremely choppy, and there's a lot of shaky cam in the film which just doesn't work. So by the time you reach the scene where Superman is putting on the suit for the first time and is going to take flight, which should be monumental, you just don't care, because by that time you haven't been excited by anything that's happened on screen.
You believe your son is safe? I will find him!
My father believed that if the world found out who I really was, they'd reject me. He was convinced that the world wasn't ready. What do you think?
I don't think so, pal. The world certainly wasn't ready for this movie. I rarely get angered by movies, but this one just had so much wasted potential. It was supposed to be amazing, and it turned out to be what? I mean, what? How could you have messed up this much? I mean, there's a scene in one of the trailers where Superman gets sucked into a pile of skulls, which for any other film would have been one of the most dramatic moments of the film, but the way they handled it in Man of Steel was just so bad. Man of Steel, oh my god! At least the marketing industry has improved, because this will earn a lot of money and whatnot, because the trailers made it look so good. I can officially say this, that this is the most disappointing film of all time. Man, it was disappointing up to the point that the writer of the comic book Birthright, partly of which this film is based off, hated the movie. Yeah, check his Twitter handle. He hated the damn movie. Mark Wade. So a not well directed, absolutely inconsequential film with a boring story that leaves no lasting impression on you in any form whatsoever earns a triple no. That's it. I can't believe it. Okay, fine, it had a good musical score, and I like Henry Cavill, but that's about it. Man of Steel, one of the most anticipated of the year, wound up here. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook, and the next time anyone tells you to look me up on YouTube, just say, I will find him! Exactly.
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Well, here it's an S.
How about...
Excuse me.